Hey guys, Jared here. Today I am going to put a third function valve on my Kubota B3300SU. I have a Grapple on order, and in order to use a Grapple you need a third set of hydraulics up front. So we will be installing this kit from Land Pride. It is a part number 380-093 Alpha. And it comes with the electric over hydraulic solenoid valve, bulkhead, 4 hoses, joystick control buttons, and some miscellaneous hardware and fittings. Should be a fairly easy install, at least normally. I do have a set of rear remotes on my tractor, so my hydraulic setup is going to be just a little different than what the kit was intended for. Normally you would take from the Power Beyond port, feed this, and then from this would also then go back and feed your 3-point hitch. Well, currently my rear remotes are set to my Power Beyond port out of my loader valve. So I will have to disconnect that, run from the Power Beyond of the loader valve to the third function, and then the return will then run to the rear remotes instead of directly to the 3-point hitch. So I may have to have a hose made, I may have to buy a fitting or two. I'll just have to kind of play it by ear and wait until I get most of the kit dry fit and see how everything goes. So we will move on to jacking up the tractor, removing the tire, and get into the loader valve, and then we'll start the install. Okay, so here's the tire removed, and here's our loader valve. This is the Power Beyond port, which normally has a hard line running from here up to the 3-point hitch. Like I said, I have a set of rear remotes, so that Power Beyond is going to the rear remotes. The third function valve kit comes with this fitting and this elbow. So this is intended to screw into the Power Beyond port, taking place of the hard line, and then the elbow would then screw onto there, and then the hose would come and then go towards the front of the tractor and head up to the solenoid valve. I already have a nice elbow fitting, so I don't see any reason to add those 2 fittings. I might do it to maybe branch it out just a little bit, but I think I'll probably be okay, because I'll just loop it down and around like this, because I can always loosen this and spin this down a little bit if I need to. But then the hose coming back from the third function solenoid valve is what I'm going to have to tie in to this. So I'm not real sure how I'm going to do that yet. If I just want to buy a JIC to JIC, coupler per se, and tie those 2 hoses together, or if I want to have a whole new hose made. The hose from here to the solenoid valve is 48 inches, and then coming back is 62, since it would have to go all the way up there. But I may reverse those. Maybe I'll put the 62 here. I'll just have to see how it lays out, and then run to 48. That way it'll be shorter and be easier to tie into here, because I know I got a little bit extra slack in here on the way to the rear remotes. Let's go ahead and get this tore apart, and we'll get the fittings kind of laid out, see how we are. And we'll also get the instruction manual does not have you mount this bracket quite yet. I apologize, it actually does. Has you do that first. So once you attach the valve support bracket onto this plate hole, and then that plate's going to come up and the valve's going to stay there. And then it has you take the wheels off, remove the steel tube that runs from the Power Beyond to the third function, and then you're going to start screwing in those adapters that I talked about and run them up to the valve. So I'm going to get the plate and the valve mounted, and then I'll start laying out my hoses, and we'll get it dry fit and see how she does. You know what, that's going to make it not real fun to get to the loader disconnects, but it's okay, it is what it is. So I think I have finally decided on the final routing for the hydraulic lines. I have everything pretty much tightened up, but haven't fired the tractor up, still just leaving it as a dry fit and not filling the hoses. But so I have the Power Beyond port coming to this line, coming to the P port, the solenoid, and then this is coming out, and then that is, I apologize, zip tied in there right now temporarily, but you know what, we'll just cut those loose so you can see. Those are all just temporary. I'm going to replace those with black ones anyways, but I went to the hydraulic shop and bought some fittings, one of which is the JIC to JIC male, so I can connect the rear remote hose directly to the return hose. That would normally go up to the 3-point hitch inlet, but now it's going to my rear remotes, and then the rear remotes feed that. Now what I also did is I swapped these two hoses as far as length. They normally have the short one running from the Power Beyond port and then the long one so it would go up and feed the 3-point hitch. Well, if I ran the long one for the return, I didn't have any real good way to get it to connect to that hose. Could have went to the hydraulic shop and just had them cut it and then put another end on it, but I also did not like the way the 48-inch connected here. This is the to tank, so just dump the tank, which is fed anytime the spool valves are dumping either side of the cylinders for the loader to tank, or if the pressure relief needs to relieve pressure, it will dump it to tank also. And that goes over into a T, and it's that fitting up underneath there. And this one comes from the rear remotes for when they are doing the same thing. And with this here, I just didn't have any real good way of taking a hose and kind of directly connecting it right there. I played around moving this thing all over the place, trying to spin it around, trying to come up with different ways of routing it, and I still felt like curling it around was the best way to get it there. So that's why I just decided to use this longer one and just put a little bit of a radius in there and then use the short one for the return. So that's what I think I'm going to end up with. Got those temporarily, well, no, I guess semi-permanently zip tied. That's probably where I'll leave them. I'll trim everything up when I'm done. But what I've also done is I ordered some protective that I'm going to put on these hoses, because they're going to be underneath, taking a little bit of abuse from sticks and branches. Anytime you're running hydraulic lines, keep your fittings loose until you get everything routed. Just one thing hoses don't like to do is you cannot twist or kink them into place. They're really stiff with the braids that are inside. So leave them loose, that way you can spin them until you get everything in place. Not sure if you can hear, but the solenoid valve is clicking.